Good day, everybody. This is the Ecclesiarch here, back with some more Horus Heresy Legions card creation contest, and this is going to be card creation contest number 5, Personal Armory. And as always, I'm here with none other than Shad. Shad?
Hello there. Hope you brought your A games today, everybody.
Oh, I think they have, because we got some very interesting things to discuss today. Because I actually loved these submissions a lot. I think they were really, really good. So, as always, let us begin by showcasing our own submissions, just to show once again that we are not degenerates.
Eh.
And we can also make our own stuff. So,
Well, yours has Erebus on it, so it's obviously degenerate.
yeah, you have a point. So that's exactly why we're going to start from yours. And mine.
Oh, okay.
So, mind beginning?
Am I going first? Okay. Yeah, well, in that case, this is one that I've had knocking around for a while. I did not make this specifically for this contest. I already had it. It is Storm's Teeth, a 3-energy Imperial Fists legendary tactic, as most Primarch weaponry are. And this is the personal weapon of Rogel Dawn, his chainsword, because even his weaponry was boring.
Absolutely.
And yeah, what it gives is Cleave 1, and an extra little side benefit saying whenever an enemy attacks you, deal 1 damage to units adjacent to it. So as in the Warlord, perhaps could have been worded more clearly, but it's basically defensive cleave, fitting the defensive Imperial Fists Legion. Chainswords are usually represented through cleave. It doesn't give +1 attack because it's a chainsword and it's shit. But yeah, I thought 3 energy was about appropriate for that. There was the 6 energy one in World Eater's Legacy, Gorefather, I think. Yeah, Gorefather, that's 6 energy. That gives double the cleave, and that's terrible. So if you halve that and buff it a little bit with an extra side benefit, I was thinking about 3 was about right. But it might be OP, it might not be, who knows.
Honestly speaking, I do like it. It's still going to be maybe not that good against things that maybe not directly attack you. Let's say the Caliban Jaegers. Then again, you also technically do counter them by the fact that when you attack, you cleave. But in any case, I think it's a very interesting little tool because defensive cleave is not something that we currently have in the game. And it would always be interesting to see something like that. That's what I think about this personally.
Oh, thanks, man.
All right, now for degeneracy. Let's move on to Erebus. Now, this is my card, the Anathemy. Now, the Anathemy, you guys probably all know what that is. It's not the Athemy, it's the Anathemy, so there's 2 different things. And yeah, this is the weapon, the Xeno weapon, I do believe, by the Kinnebrach, or how is their name actually pronounced?
Well, that's how I always thought it was. Although I did think it was anatheme, not anathemy, but I could be wrong because it is pronounced anathema. So I don't know.
Oh, yeah, it could be whatever anyway. So I'm not really that good at pronouncing.
Yeah.
So I would say anathemy does sound cool, but yeah, whatever it is. Anyway, guys, so this is a 5 energy legendary card for Chaos. And what it does is it's not something you equip, but rather you choose an enemy unit. So that means you can also choose the enemy warlord. So every consecutive attack against the chosen unit by your warlord deals 1 bonus damage. If your warlord attacks a different target, the counter is reset. Now, I did make a little confusing wording here. What I did meant to say is that every consecutive attack increases the damage by 1, which means that on the first attack, you deal 3 damage, on the second one you deal 4, then it's 5, then it's 6, but whenever your warlord attacks something else, the attack is reset. Now, I kind of thought that this was a little bit lore friendly, I guess, because what this weapon really did was you would whisper the name of your target to it, and it essentially became like the bane of that target, and it would end up wounding the target, like giving it a deadly wound. So it almost even killed the Primarch Horus, right? When just some random guy was basically wielding it. So
Right.
yeah, and
Well,
whenever
that was. No, you keep going, man.
yeah, and whenever you like choose another target, it implies that that target is not marked, so the weapon is not giving you that bonus. And since you changed your target, maybe the weapon is now not as savage as it was before. So I think it might be a little bit obnoxious though. Maybe it would be more interesting if it also reset if your warlord does anything other than attacking. So would in that sense maybe frontline or peak ignition could counter it a little bit. But overall, it's a little bit of a lore friendly toxic tool. What do you think, Shad?
I like the lore behind it, but it's a bit complex to do what it's supposed to be doing. I mean, you could probably accomplish much the same by just having it grant sentence or something like that.
Yeah.
It's cool, but also it would only be used as a burn tool. Is it supposed to trigger with everything, by the way, or just your warlord? Because the way it's worded, it implies. Oh, so your other attacks and all that don't do extra damage by your troops.
No, only the warlord.
Okay. It's fine. I guess it would make Khorne pretty disgusting, wouldn't it?
Oh my god.
Well, old Legacy anyway. Yeah. He is so awful in Legacy mode, isn't he? He's just horrible to play against.
It's disgusting. He was bad to play against in Standard, so now imagine him in Legacy with all the new tools.
Yeah. Oh, I actually quite like the Legacy format, but it's definitely got a few winners and a few not so winners.
Yeah, Legacy can be very fun. That's for sure.
Yeah. Do a video on it sometime, man.
Oh yeah, I should. I actually had a few of those on my old channel. I think I should do some of the new ones as well. The others have been suggesting as well. So yeah, definitely something worth looking into. All right, so perhaps we should begin. Shad, the next one's yours, and this is from Raziel.
All right, in that case, what we have here is Dawnbringer Teleport Beacon. It's a 2-energy legendary salamanders equipment tactic. Equipment should be a subtype, by the way. I don't know why EG haven't done that yet, but it would make perfect sense. But yeah, it's a tactic, because that's how they represent that. And it says, draw and put in play an Astartes from your deck that costs 3 or less. Add Dawnbringer Hammer to your hand. And then he has included a second card, which is also a legendary, but it's got the special typing. EG are a bit inconsistent with that, though, so it's excusable. It might be correct, even. It's not that it isn't a purple, but it's basically a purple. And it says, Dawnbringer, also a hammer, which is a great reference to an amazing quoted line. I forget which book, but I'll explain it in a bit. It says, give +2/0 and cleave 2 to your warlord until the end of the turn. Add Dawnbringer to your hand, which I am assuming means the regular one that's already in the game, now a legacy card. So that is quite a cool piece of lore there. So, of course, first it has the teleport beacon, which represents the party coming to save their Primarch Vulcan, who, in this scenario, has been trapped in the middle of a maze by Conrad Kurz and is desperately trying to escape. He put the weapon in the middle of the maze as a joke because Conrad Kurz is basically just shit Batman in space. So then he gets it. Turns out it's a teleport beacon. That's going to take him away from there. And Kurz has already been outsmarted, but then he thinks, wait, it's also a weapon. I'm going to beat the shit out of my brother for this. How dare he? And so he does. So excellent flavor there. It goes from friends coming in to get him giving his last, little love tap to Conrad, and then it also has the full-on weapon in your hand at the end of that, ready to use.
Shad, just one little point, though. Raziel did tell me that what he meant by the hammer was that it has the teleporter back, so you're alternating between the two.
Okay, fair enough then. Fair enough. Right, in that case, it should have been named properly. So there you go. Wording error. I found my first one. First one. I smelled blood. But yeah, no, I quite like this. It's reasonably well balanced. The technically you're getting overstatted for the Dawnbringer teleport beacon because it says 3 or less, which you could build a deck around. But then again, it's random, which is why the randomness is somewhat okay. However, it also does give you then an extra card in hand again. So, and it just keeps on looping. So maybe that's a little strong. That maybe should have been 3 energy, because normally I'd be okay with it if it didn't have the second clause. Just getting a random card is always worse than getting one that you intended to have and put in your deck after all. So you can excuse the discount, but it also has extra value tacked on as well. So yeah, but it's good. I like it. And the callback to the other ability on the second one is nice, because that's what the original Dawnbringer from Legacy mode does.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I think that both the lore as well as the design is pretty good. Well, you're right. Obviously, it can end up being a little bit obnoxious or OP. It's a possibility for sure. However, the thing is that I think it is a pretty fun design. I have to say I quite like it. It's a pretty good thing. Possibly OP, but at the same time, nothing as obnoxious as for you to say, "Oh my God, this is like terrifying and this is gonna break the game," right?
Yeah, it's a
So
little strange that you can like switch it back and forth multiple times a turn, though, which is it's a bit odd. You can play it multiple times over and over, basically, because it keeps on adding the other side back to your hand. Well, it's fine.
yeah, I think so too. I think it's absolutely fine. Yeah. Move on.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay, very well. The next one that we have here is Coronate Physique by by Ozzy. Obviously, he's trolling us again, doing the Alpha Legion thing as always. Yeah, so this is a 5 energy card that gives your warlord oil dabs apparently, and your warlord gains +2 and also rage to gain +1/+1. Jesus Christ. So I mean, honestly speaking, I totally get the meme. It's pretty funny
I
and
don't.
cool.
Who is that? Is that someone famous that I'm just not getting because I live under a rock?
I think it's a Lamia reference once again.
It kind of looks like Michael Bolton.
Yeah, I'm not sure. It's a crazy good meme though, but at the same time, I mean, obviously this would be super OP because imagine like that rage on Angron would be absolutely nuts. Like you'd
Yeah,
be
this is
unstoppable.
this is a reckoning form turned into a 5 energy card. That's absurd. But I mean, it's obviously a joke, so whatever. Yeah, dude has a neck thicker than his head, so he's obviously deserving these stats.
Absolutely, absolutely. All right, all right.
Yeah.
So, let's move on. And however, I have to say, like, I have to say, we have to skip the next one in the folder, Shad. I do
Oh yeah.
believe I put that one there by mistake. So
Oh okay.
it should be the next one, which is from completely self-sensible Magistus Amon creator, the instruments.
Oh okay. In that case, it's the instrument, an Alpha Legion tactic, 2 energy, epic. It says choose a troop in the enemy deck. When it is played from hand, return it to hand. Increase its cost to 10. Draw a card at the end of your turn. So it's essentially their trap, but in a weaponized form. You get to choose the troop that's getting it because they already have one, doesn't it? It increases the cost to 10 when it's drawn. Yeah, it's fine. I don't really get the flavor of what's going on, especially here, though, because is it some kind of little targeting site, I suppose? But I don't understand how that relates to putting it back in the hand and increasing it to 10. It's fine, but the flavor's not strong for me, at least.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's like the Alpha Legion shenanigans, as always, like ruining your plan, pretty much. So now, instead of like the instrument being something that forces a unit to attack his own, it kind of sabotages you by delaying your tempo like quite a bit. So it's a little strong because it's a very, very big tempo kill. Perhaps it would be interesting if this was like the next troop the opponent plays gets that, so that the opponent has a way to play around it. Perhaps that would be a little more tolerable.
Honestly, I don't think it's really that bad as you're thinking. Maybe the fact it has draw a card slapped on it, but I mean, there's a very similar card in the game already for Agents of the Sigillite Execution Order.
Oh
or
yeah,
whatever it's
you're
called.
right. You're right.
And that's crap. No one plays that. So the fact this has a draw stapled on might make it playable.
Yeah,
but
it's cheaper.
It's
I
really
think.
not that bad. Yeah. Also, the more expensive the card is that you hit, the less value you're getting out of it, and it repeats rallies and things like that. And let's be real, all high expensive cards have a big rally because they're unplayable if they don't have immediate effect. So yeah, the balance is fine. I just question the flavor. It doesn't feel like a piece of equipment.
Yeah, absolutely understandable. Okay, so we got the next card right here. And this is, I believe, from our boy, from the Fecund ones. So once again, I think he's always the third one or fourth one we discuss because he always
have we given a win to our own lodge yet? I don't think we have.
We have not.
Just to prove there's no favoritism going on.
Yeah, so this is a Blood Angel's weapon, the Cyphus V, the Relic Power Sword. 4 energy, give a friendly unit murder. Gain attack equal to the overkill damage dealt until the end of your next turn. and heal the same amount. So essentially, when you kill something, you're gonna heal for the excess damage you deal, and at the same time, you're gonna get some bonus damage, right? Now, mostly when you're playing your warlord, unless you have some sort of attack steroid, this is just going to be +1 attack and +1 heal for most of the time. It's like a blend of execution blade as well as the greatest duty. But however, if you do have things like the the Incarmine blade, as well as if you're playing Sanguinius, you could actually end up doing big gains with this, because imagine if Sanguinius has like a very big attack, and then he slaps a unit, and then he heals for like 6 or something like that. That could be pretty nasty. So I think it's a very specific card. I do like how it I like how it actually implements a mechanic from the other faction, from Night Lord specifically. I think it's pretty interesting. It's very specific, though. I don't think like this is something that all the warlords would use. I would probably think that Sanguinius is the one who's gonna use this the most. What do you think?
Well, for a start, I think you're missing the point of the card a little bit, because I don't know if you've quite read it right. So essentially, what that does is that creates a sort of exponential growth. It just keeps on rolling on over to the next turn, because if you gain +2 attack from an overkill, well, +1 attack, should we say, from the first attack, that lasts until the beginning of your next, the end of your next turn. So you will now be attacking on your next turn at 3 attack, which can get you even more overkill, and then it'll be 4 attack, or 5 or 6 or 7. It can keep on growing as long as you don't miss a turn, essentially.
Holy shit.
So I know, right? That is such a cool mechanic. I love the mechanics of that. What I don't love is that it heals you for the same amount. That feels oppressive and makes it too strong for its costs. If it didn't have that and you had to like build around it more, because right now, the only thing that would be stopping you from building up a massive attack and doing loads of damage with it is the fact that you will run out of health on your warlord from like face tanking so many monsters. The fact that it gives you built-in sustain and heal already in that negates what would other be an interesting deck building challenge and restriction that you'd have to overcome. So it would be better without the heal clause. Also, it would probably be balanced without the heal clause, but with the heal clause, this feels too strong. It's a very cool design, though. I love this sort of like rolling over attack that you've got going on there. And murder is a flavorful mechanic for the Blood Angels. I just wish they'd have a bit of more of a flavor agnostic symbol, but that's EG's fault, not yours. So yeah, whoever made this, I quite like this. I just think the balance is off and the design should be cut in half, I suppose.
Yeah, without the heal, it's absolutely like perfect. I didn't think about this part that you said. Yeah, it's pretty good.
Slight weirdness as well. It says give it to a friendly unit instead of just your warlord. This very much feels like a weapon that only goes on the warlord. So another slight quibble I have, yeah. But yeah, otherwise great, love it.
Well, yeah, perhaps like there's a point there too. Maybe he just wanted to give you more room for discussion, just like for example in Hearthstone, most of the things can target friendly units as well. So yeah, I guess.
Yeah, it's basically, if it's permanent, it feels like it shouldn't go on troops because troops aren't permanent. That would be my general rule of thumb. But there's always exceptions, of course. But yeah, I like a lot of aspects of it, and some I don't. Sorry, it's mine next, is it?
Yeah, it's from Hypnomarine. Let's move on to more Khorne stuff.
All right. Oh god, a Ruinstorm entry. We don't get many of those. This is Axe of Khorne, 5 energy Ruinstorm weapon. It says, until end of turn, your warlord gains rage, gain +1/+0 this turn, and can act once more. Your warlord can't attack the same enemy unit more than once this turn. That is really cool. That is Argakol Gorborn's effect, but with an extra added clause to prevent you from doing some crazy combo wombos with like orders from Terra or whatever. So well done. You've translated a really cool mechanic and you've unbroken it. I mean, it's a bit better. It's okay for the neutral one because it's neutral. They need all the brokenness. But yeah, here you've made a good, awesome, balanced one, basically. I love this. This is great. This is kind of like a board. This is like a board wipe in a can, I suppose. But it turns your warlord into one.
And it also gives you the chance to slap the enemy warlord later on with that. I actually wanna point out one thing that he himself texted me. He said that he specifically made this Ruinstorm so that Hangrons cannot abuse it, and it makes a lot of sense.
Which one, sorry?
Engrons.
Oh, so it was supposed to be Chaos, was it, originally?
Yeah, and he also said that this is a pretty interesting thing because this also makes Kabanda's transformation a little bit viable if you think about it.
Yeah, that is true. It would be definitely. They see that's a good example that functions with everyone, but it functions a little bit better. It has natural synergy rather than forced synergy with the person who's actually supposed to carry it, which in this case is Kabanda.
Absolutely.
So yeah, that's good. I didn't consider that. That's great.
Yeah, really cool card, man.
Yeah, I do like that.
All right,
it's quite
let's
funny.
move on.
Quite funny on Kabanda as well, though, because technically this will force you to attack everything on the field. So because of the berserk, so that's actually quite funny. It's a bit of a double-edged sword there, or a double-headed axe, you could say. A yuck yuck. Yeah, I really like that.
Yeah, me too.
All right.
It is very, very good. Okay, let's move on to Night Lords. And fortunately, Shad, you are not the one who got the Night Lord this time. So
Fucking
this
Night
is
Lords.
from Venom 13, or Chaos Marine in game. And these are the Lucorphus claws, lightning claws. And your Warlord gains +1 and murder deal 2 damage to a random enemy. So this is obviously meant to complement the Night Lord playstyle, which honestly speaking, they probably need because of the recent nerfs that they have received. So
Good.
I think
It's
like
grown.
this is right on time, I would say. So yeah, basically this is like an aggro weapon. Even though I do believe this is supposed to be something for Curse, it's gonna be used by Sevatar the most probably. Also gonna be pretty good with Scrivok because of the terror. So there's a lot of synergy, obviously, because this fits into the Night Lord theme a lot.
Even Ophion has front line, so he's getting more battle honors off from this. So yeah,
Yeah,
good
absolutely.
stuff.
So
Works with
I
all
think
their
it's pretty
warlords. It's
good.
good.
Yeah, and I don't
Yeah.
think it's like too overpowered either. I think it's pretty nice. What do you think?
I think it may be a little strong because you've got to remember what the going rate is for these weapons. We haven't actually touched on this yet, but so in Legacy there is a card called Gorechild. It's classic. It's 5 energy, and all it says is your warlord gains +1/+0.
Oh, you're right.
It's not very good, so we shouldn't consider that as the sort of baseline. But if you deduct that down by 1 energy to 4 energy, it would probably be quite good and playable. So basically, the baseline I would say is 4 energy for just a standard +1 attack on your warlord, like a permanent +1. If you're going to add more text to that, it's going to usually make it worth more. And this is right on the line of, is it too good at 4 energy? Because it's the vanilla attack buff. So I wonder if this is too strong. This maybe should have been 5 energy. But
maybe 1 damage.
It's a fine design.
Maybe 1 damage on deal. Yeah.
That could have worked too. But yeah, no, it's pretty cool. I like it. I just think it might be a little wrong. The cost might be a little bit wrong. Yeah, it's fine. Pretty good.
All right. Yeah, pretty good as well. And it's rare for you to say pretty good on Night Lords, so let's move on.
But Night Lords are hard to design for. I do keep saying this, but it doesn't have terror, so that makes it a lot easier. Terror is the card that no one can do right. It's the mechanic no one can do right, and that includes EG. Right. All right.
Okay.
Mine then.
Next one
the
is
Prince
from
and the Prophet.
Kalamumaki.
Yeah, the Prince and the Prophet, a 3 energy Alpha Legion legendary tactic. It says, put a copy of the Prince and the Prophet into your hand. Your warlord gains +1 during your turn. So this is a permanent warlord buff, but it's only during your turn. So 3 energy is probably about right for that by itself.
It's like Execution
but it also
Blade.
gives the boost. Yeah, well, that's a good point, actually. We have okay, never mind. Execution Blade is already good, and this is better, so this should be 4 energy. But the other cards it adds are the Prince, Blade of the Harrow Master, which is your warlord gains first strike, and the Prophet, Hammer of Lies. Your warlord gains when attacking, stun the target. So these are some very cool control tools here. I like that it comes in installments. These are very cool, neat. I believe these are the weapons of Armorless Dynat.
Yes, that would be true.
So obviously, here's the thing. See, it's probably a little undercosted, sorry, for what it does, but it's in a faction that doesn't really support what it's doing. So you can make an argument. I don't know if I fully support it, but you can make the argument that this being a little undercosted is actually justifiable and good, because there is no Alpha Legion Warlord that wants to be bashing things. They just don't. they want to load their gun or to make your opponent draw cards or all the other random bullshit that Alpha Legion Warlords do. So yeah, and the fact that it gives first strike but in installments, 5 energy to get +1 attack and first strike, quite strong, maybe a bit strong. I don't know. I still think it should be 4 energy, and then but it's a cool card. I like that it comes in pieces, so it's a weapon set in one card. That's neat. That's very neat.
Yeah, actually, you kind of said what I wanted to say.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's totally fine. So that's what I wanted to say, that the justifiable part is that it's not the Sisters of Silence who bash your face, right? This is the Alpha Legion. So usually this kind of, I guess, incentivizes a different type of play, which is interesting. And plus, if you're actually playing Dynat as your as your personality there, hidden identity, you also get bonus attack when transforming. So yeah, there's some synergy. I like it overall. Yeah,
it's pretty cool.
All right, let's move on to Warmaster Abaddon, and this one is going to be, well, obviously Talon of Horus. He likes making Sons of Horus cards. Okay, so
yeah, I've noticed that he's got like 50 on the main Discord.
Yep. So 4 energy, your warlord gains +1/0 per troop you control in play with a Mark of Chaos and draw a card. So this means that when you don't have any troops, this is 0, basically nothing. But when you have at least 1 Mark of Chaos troop on the board, this is +1. It's good that it also draws you a card, because otherwise it would be very weak, I think. I would say it's a very interesting design because it obviously complements you trying to build a Mark of Chaos board. However, I kind of do get a feeling that it's a little bit on the weaker side, because unless you satisfy the needs of the card, you kind of have no bonus at all. I think it would be good if this was +1 and +1 per troop you control with Mark of Chaos. Because, as I said, when you have an empty board, this is +0. So you don't have a benefit when that is the case, right? But other than that, you could also make some interesting things, like you could pull some damage out of your ass, like drop the Ajax squads and then blast the Mark of Chaos on them, and suddenly your warlord has +3 attack. So it's good that it's not permanent or something like that, because then you would have some insane damage. I think it's a pretty interesting design. I just get a feeling it's a little underpowered. What do you think?
I really like this design, actually. So one thing, slight typo, that's troop, not troop, so it should be troop, obviously. But yeah, no, I really like this. It's a conditional attack buff, so it's not always active, which allows your opponent to interact with it, which is always a good thing when it comes to Warlord equipment, since they're pretty uninteractable usually. It's very flavorful. It's intentionally worded to not break things by multiple troops and marks, which is great. I don't know if I like the draw cards stacked on. It kind of feels like it belongs to the old Sons of Horus, not the new Sons of Horus, but I can forgive that. I feel like the two should work together more anyway. So Sons of Horus being masters of, strategy and resupply and all that, it's still part of their identity, I think. It should be anyway. I think you're underestimating this card a lot, though, teacher. It's think of the combos you can pull with this, particularly with Blessing of Chaos. Drop a full board, Blessing of Chaos. That's an 8 attack warlord right there. Orders from Terror. That's a 24 damage combo.
Actually,
yeah.
And with
but you can't
right?
get. Well, probably yeah, but you can't get Bloodthirst with it, to be fair, because it's not in the faction. So it's not that insane. It would be an archetype, but it would be no more or worse or better than the Custodes one, I would probably say. I really like this, and the fact it just exists the way it does. All I'd say is maybe nix the draw a card or increase it to 5 energy if you're going to keep it. But yeah, it's just great great design. Really cool.
Yeah, actually, now that I think about it, this could do some very interesting combos. Most probably, this is like something you just use to lose one turn, but then potentially gain a very good combo. Yeah,
Oh,
actually, you make a good point.
another slight typo. Warlord should be capitalized, but again, not a major thing. The fun police is here. All right.
All right, the next one is from our boy Zier, who usually makes Dark Angels cards, but he made the Pale Spear. Shad?
Oh, is it me? Oh, yes. Let's see. So this is a 5 energy Alpha Legion tactic. The Pale Spear. Typo detected. Capitalize your words. And then also no full stop on the right hand side. But it says, give your Warlord, when you add trap to enemy deck, add additional random trap. So it's fine, but again, it's not feeling like a piece of equipment. This feels like a battle plan or a strategy or some other clever, tricksy thing that you're doing, a tactic. It feels like a real classic tactic, not an actual piece of equipment. If it had like a little extra thing saying like, I don't know, whenever your opponent draws a trap, gain 1 attack or something this turn or until your next turn, I don't know. But yeah, no, what it actually does from a balance perspective, it's fine. A few other wording issues are actually should be whenever you add a trap to the enemy's deck, add an additional random trap would be the correct wording. But yeah, I get what it does. I get what it's supposed to do. It's fine. To be honest, traps could probably do with the support in mainstream, standard, because legacy traps are way stronger. So
this could be pretty crazy together with the Hydron Exemplar.
Yes, yeah, or even in legacy mode. Can you imagine like pulling an infiltration off with this?
Ooh, that would be pretty scary.
I know, right?
Yeah, interesting combinations possible for sure. Yeah, I think it's pretty interesting. Yeah, it looks more and more like a battle plan, as you said. However, nevertheless, like a pretty interesting card. I mean, trap support, as you said, is always welcome, because currently it doesn't have that good support.
Oh, I think most people would disagree with that still, even though they are weaker now.
Yeah, it's annoying. The other day I was also raging when somebody drew Ghost Legion a couple of times, so...
the only good trap, no!
Yeah, I know, right? So, that's the thing. Alright, moving on then. The next thing that we got is from Carter, and it is the Fulgurite. 5 energy legendary, jam the enemy warlord. This is very interesting. We've never had anything jamming an enemy warlord.
Damn, yeah.
It kind of makes sense lore-wise, actually, considering this is the weapon that is supposed to be something that can kill someone like Vulcan. So obviously, disabling his, quote-unquote, disabling his perpetual abilities like jamming, essentially. So, oh, this is so interesting. So you could pay 5 energy and skip a turn, but the enemy warlord is now nothing, right? Imagine doing this to Angron.
Just ruin his whole battle plan, yeah. At least he'd calm the fuck down for once in his life, though.
That would be big. Or you could use this on Luther when he transforms. So there's also another option. So this could be a very, very interesting card to run. It might actually become meta on control warlords. This would support like heavy control warlords a lot, because imagine doing this to Dupain. Like, I can see people playing drilling sites just to play this early.
It's not going to do anything on Dupain. You don't want to waste 5 energy of your life fighting against a horrible aggro deck like that. That's tempo suicide. This is definitely a control card for long games.
Yeah, what I mean is, like, imagine if you slap this on him with drilling site and he cannot buff troops anymore. It would be pretty funny.
Yeah. No, slight flavor thing. It doesn't actually turn off full legacy mode Vulcan's Reckoning, so slight flavor fail there. Maybe it should also read and discard all purple cards or something like that. Although technically purple cards are included in the text, I suppose, so maybe it sort of already does that. It's kind of like one of those weird wording areas, code areas, that it would depend entirely on how EG was feeling that day if they coded it.
Yeah, absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely, quite
So
possible.
maybe it does. Yeah, no, I like it. I don't know if it's. See, I've struggled to comment on the balance of this because my God, this is a unique effect that has not been done before. My question is, how does this affect it if you transform again, like one of many, maybe something that wouldn't get discarded by purple cards going away?
Mm,
Because typically, warlord buffs persist between warlord transformations. But jam isn't a buff. It doesn't function like that. We know how jam functions based on troops. You can still buff troops. You can still give them other abilities later on, and they will sort of layer on top of the jam. So is that how that would work? Would the new reckoning form or other form replace what you've got? I guess it probably would. Just very strange wording there.
yeah, that's one of the questions that I guess is left out in the
But
open.
it is a cool idea. I do like the idea behind it.
Absolutely, absolutely a very interesting idea for sure. Okay,
All right.
so let's move on.
All
Next
right.
one is yours. It's Cloak of Falsehoods
All
by
right.
Servants of Chaos. Yeah, let's go.
It looks like he's put a keyword in here. Do you want to explain what that does first?
Let's take a look right here. Evolving plans.
Did he include a note with that on what that's supposed to do?
I don't think he has. I'm checking it right now, but I think what it just means that this is not like a I think that's what the keyword means, like the explanation to the right.
Oh, I see. He's included the reminder text like
Yep.
in a Magic the Gathering card. Okay, fair enough then. In that case, Cloak of Falsehoods, a 3 energy epic Alpha Legion card. And it has Evolving Plans, which we are assuming is a keyword that means transform the second copy of the card in hand or deck and raise its cost by 2. So it transforms the second copy.
Oh yeah, what this means is basically when you have two Cloaks of
Hmm.
Falsehood in your deck, once you play the first one, the second one transforms in the deck to another card. That's
So I
that's what
assume
it means.
random, but why does it increase the cost by 2? Does it mean that like the cost will always be 3 plus 2, so 5? So you might like high roll a 10 drop, I don't know, like
No, no,
a
no, no, no. What it means that
no?
like you're transforming the second copy of Cloak of Falsehoods in your deck. The second
Yes,
copy, yeah.
into what? Into like a random thing, and then what? You
No, no,
increase
no,
that
not
random
not
thing's
not in a
cost?
random thing. It transforms into the second version of Cloak of Falsehoods.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
I was very confused. Okay, fair enough then. All right, in that case, it says choose a troop in hand and change its appearance into another troop in hand until it is attacked. Okay.
So
So I
Shen
assume that
basically.
that'll choose a card in your hand and then change its appearance. That could be random, that could be chosen. This is very unclear. And then the second one is Cloak of Falsehoods. This is what you get for the second one if you include 2 copies. It says choose a troop in your hand and give it transform into another Alpha Legion troop of equal or higher rarity every turn while in hand. If enemy warlord is a loyalist, choose between both factions in play. I what the fuck? What is this? No, I
I think I
I get.
get what's going on. Yeah.
I kind of, but the fact that so much text was used to do like this, like whatever this is, I'm not feeling it.
I think I'm feeling the Gwent here again. People, I think, really do like trying to implement Gwent. I can't blame him. Gwent has some really awesome mechanics. I think the whole idea here is that when you have 2 copies, essentially when you commit to having 2 copies, the second copy becomes stronger once you use the first one. And what this is basically you mark a troop, and every turn that troop becomes bigger and bigger, essentially until it becomes a 10 cost troop, right? So probably
no, because
means...
that's not what it says. It says transform into a higher rarity.
Oh, so it becomes
Legendary
legendary.
eventually.
Yeah, so it
Yeah, so
becomes
this is
legendary.
assuming that because legendaries are sometimes stronger, sometimes they're not. It's a bit inconsistent with EG. So this doesn't do anything. It's just full of random bullshit.
I mean, it's Alpha Legion.
I suppose, but it's not like the fun random bullshit that actually helps you win the game. I don't know.
I think it would be more interesting if it actually turned into a higher cost card. In that case, it could grow every turn, I guess.
It's confusing. I'll give you that. So points for flavor.
Absolutely.
All right.
All right, let's move on. Let's move on.
Mm.
In that case, and next one is mine, and that would be the Nightmare Mantle. And let me just quickly check who sent this actually. Okay, it's Lexicon Woolen. So this is the Nightmare Mantle, Conrad Kerr's armor, obviously. Your Warlord gains resolution, give -1/0 to 2 random enemy troops. So this is permanent. So this is not something only until the next turn, but this is a permanent effect. So you equip it on Conrad, and at the end of the turn, 2 random troops, enemy troops, lose -1 attack. I can see how this could be a combination with some cards like the old card that they had, Reign of Terror or whatever it was called, that killed everything that had the below 3 attack. I think
yeah, I remember that one.
I think the problem with this is, once again, I think it's a little too weak. Because let's say I have a 6 damage troop on the board, okay? You equip this, and it's now a 5 damage troop, and it still slaps you on the face with 5. But if it stacks up, like if you don't lose too much tempo, it can actually become pretty... Okay, maybe I'm wrong here. Let me think about it for a second. So
you know what the problem is? I figured it out. This is one of the rare cards that would be stronger if it was a relentless instead of resolution.
That's what I was thinking, to be honest. That's exactly what I was thinking. One of the problems for me is that you have to finish your turn for this to happen, but most Night Lord cards benefit by low attack during your turn, right?
You want it to be low, and then you want to attack it with a Terror Troop. Exactly.
Yeah, I think as relentless, this would be very interesting. Because
it's a great design, isn't it? It's just the resolution is the wrong mechanic. If it was relentless, it would be great. Yeah, even then, it still has uses. To be fair, maybe he meant that intentionally as a balancing factor to prevent it from becoming so insanely toxic. Because let's be real, incentivizing the terror mechanic any more than it already is never really a good thing. So
yeah,
this working as like a proper what's the word? Like a long-term defense tool to just lower your life loss. That's pretty solid too. You know what? I'm going to go back on this. It might be a 5, but I do think I quite like the design.
Yeah, design-wise, it's really good.
Yeah, you know what? Keep it resolution. Don't change it to relentless. I changed my mind, and yeah.
I would still go with relentless, but I do like the design, as you said. Resolution feels not weak, but yeah, it feels a little bit weak because it's interfering as if with your mechanics, while relentless could be pretty friggin' powerful. Overall, very good design though. Totally points for design.
One way to think of it, Nightmare Mantle at least, is that's basically giving you +1/+1 worth of stats every turn, because it's saving either 2 health on your Warlord or 2 health on your troops, split up in many different ways. Obviously, you're not going to get favorable trades on that all the time, but that will add up over the course of a game. So, yeah, I quite like this. It's also a very great flavorful representation of the Nightmare Mantle. Like, flavor-wise, what it does is just perfect. It's, you know, Conrad Kerr's festooned himself with all these horrifying little trinkets. I mean, dude's got got some guy's rib cage in his rib cage.
I know, right?
What the fuck, man?
Well, that's
great flavor. Great flavor, and actually, I do like the design being anti-synergistic with Terror, because Terror is terrible, so you shouldn't incentivize it.
You know, what you're not gonna like? The fact that the first multi-card submission is yours.
Well, no, I had the Alpha Legion one before. That was actually good. So yeah, we'll see.
Let's go.
Sometimes the purples. Sometimes the purples work. All right, let's see then. So this is Requery, a 1 energy legendary Thousand Suns tactic. It says you start game with this card in your hand. Create a relic in your hand depending on your Thousand Suns war. So few formatting issues first. Requery is centered. It should not be that. They don't do that on their cards. Armory should be capitalized, minor things. It should be you start the game with this card in your hand. Although, here is already I have an issue with this, and we haven't even gotten to the weapons that it actually makes, or the relics rather, because it says you start the game with this in your hand. So, the way it's worded at the moment, that's a free card. You get that for free. You would never not run this. It's just like, hey, do you want to start the game with 5 cards? Oh, Yes, please. So, yeah, that's, I mean, insanely busted already, and we haven't even gotten to the weapons.
I mean,
But yeah,
does it though, considering it kind of works with like Forbidden Secret, like, and Forbidden Secret is not an extra card.
that might be how it works. Yeah, what's the wording on Forbidden Secret? Can you hang on? See if I can. I'll boot up. Well, you boot up like Horus Heresy and have a look at how that one works.
Bit about that, and
I'll keep reading. Yeah. All right. So let's see. The first weapon is the Blade of Arnunerta, which is Magnus's blade. Is what do they call that? A Kopesh, isn't it? Yeah. It's 5 energy.
Oh, one second, Chad. I'm sorry. Might as well just tell you. Forbidden Secret says always starts in your hand.
See, that's what I thought. So Forbidden Secret is worded in the correct way. Maybe that's what he meant, but the way he's worded it actually implies it's an additional free card, and that you shouldn't do that pretty much ever. There's basically no reason to ever do that. So yeah, Forbidden Secret is the correct way to word that. You might want to put that up actually when doing the editing if you can. But yeah, Blade of Arnunerta, sorry. It's 5 energy. It says creates if your warlord is Magnus. So it's what he means there is.
That means like when you use the yeah.
So your warlord gains Psyker 1, so it's a warlord buff, and it changes your warlord's ability into 2 Psyker, deal 2 to 3 damage to an enemy. So it's a slight upgrade on Magnus, changing his average damage from 2 to 2.5. If target dies, triggers your warlord's Psyker. So if you kill the enemy, you get an amount of Psyker equal to your warlord's Psyker, which is that's pretty neat. Like, this is where I'm going with this again. As you do not do these like massive purple screeds. This card by itself is pretty cool. You could just have made this and sent this, and this is decent. This is pretty good. And the next one is Blade of Synarcht, a 4 energy version. It says, creates if your warlord is Synarcht. Your warlord gains first strike plus 1 attack during your turn, and battle honor trigger your warlord's Psyker. So that's very busted with what Synarcht can do.
Yes.
You don't give first strike to the guy who can buff his attack for free. It's a very cool design though. Again, you could have made this and just submitted this. The problem is, of course, it incentivizes Synarcht only. So I understand why you put all of these inside another card, inside another gift box, because each one of them is a very specific design that doesn't work with all the other Thousand Suns. Problem is, cards like that, they're already built into the flavor of the warlord. They don't need to exist. If you're going to design a card like this, it should be something that is more applicable to a lot of different states, a lot of different warlords. I mean, yeah, it's okay if it's stronger with Synarcht, but it should be something that isn't dead on every other warlord. All right, Utiper, Tutelary. Creative of your warlord is Phosis. I assume this is because Phosis didn't really have an iconic weapon. He had a Tutelary instead, which is a little mini demon that follows them around. Says your warlord gains, your psychic barriers gain backlash, deal 1 damage to a random enemy and the adjacent units. So that's very strong, obviously. So what this could have been, for example, I'll tell you how it could have been changed to be like a universal weapon. What you should have done is this should have been whenever a friendly unit is destroyed, it deals 1 damage to a random enemy or something. Or you can add the extra clause. That way, it is applicable to anyone. Anyone can use this. Maybe an aggro Synarcht would also want this. But Phosis, because he constantly spawns those irritating barriers that die at the end of your turn and always go off, gets extra benefit out of it. It's soft synergy. That's how I would have done that. And then the next one, is that the last one? No, there's 5, aren't there? The Corvidean Scepter, which is Ahriman's weapon. Says your warlord gains, after friendly troop loses precognition, deal 1 damage to a random enemy twice. See, there you go. That doesn't need to be an Ahriman exclusive. There's lots of cards that have precognition. You could oh wait, no, precognition doesn't go away by itself, does it? Not yet. Well, whatever, it's fine. And then Armor of Shades, 4 energy. This is Amon's equipment. It says steal the enemy warlord's identity, give stealth to your warlord, create revelation in your hand. So this is a purple making a purple, by the way. And it says 0 energy, turns your warlord back to Amon, gain 2 Psyker. So
you're forcing the enemy to play a mirror.
I mean, yes, unless you decide you want to switch back. I like this card in a vacuum because it's very neat playing into it. So you turn into them for tempo, until you run out of cards, and then you can reveal yourself back to a mon and start generating value again. That's a cool idea. It's just, again, it's a purple inside a purple, and like it's just loads of random stuff. Yeah. All right, that's my rant. Giant purple toolbox done.
Yeah, so this is, I think, this is like the classical example of, once again, all of these could be interesting weapons on their own. I think specifically the Magnus one is very interesting, but then it would have to be Magnus exclusive. But it's interesting, like, for example, it gives you +1 psyker and changes your ability. And if your target dies, your warlord gains psyker, right? So obviously you would run this on Magnus. So I think that, once again, guys, whenever you're doing things like this, it's not necessary to make so many things. Just make it into one card, and it's gonna be cool. That's my comment on this, specifically. All right, moving on. Next one is from Zwoxis, and we got the first Emperor's Children weapon, which is the Fireblade, the perfect weapon. Give your warlords change attack troops health to 1. I think it's weak, considering we had the same card, Ur-Dracul. So let me say one thing. You guys remember Ur-Dracul, right? It was 7 energy, I believe, and it was attack a unit. When you attack a unit, it dies, right? Basically. So, and Vulcan could pull it off because he had a total of 45 HP, with the added benefit of having some heals and survivor, and also his rebirth. Now you're giving this to an Emperor's Children warlord, and it becomes a little difficult because it's a little bit weak, right? Because you attack it and it just changes the health to 1. I think it's on the weak side. What do you think?
Yeah. Oh no, Ur-Dracul was the correct comparison. Yeah. It's worth noting, since he hasn't used a savage trigger, it's probably supposed to trigger before you attack, so it turns it to 1 attack and 1 health rather, and then you hit it and kill it. So it is kind of supposed to be like Ur-Dracul, just weaker. But yeah, no, I mean, the way it's designed that way, it's too expensive. But if you change that down to, like, I don't know, 6 energy, 5 energy maybe, it would be about right, because it's a more conditional version of Ur-Dracul. I do like some aspects of this flavor, though, because it's very interesting how the change attack troops health to 1 interacts with the new Iron Hands mechanic of Pride, because that changes their maximum health to 1, which means Pride cannot trigger, nor can you apply augmetics to it. So
absolutely,
that's a cool little piece of flavor, considering the fight that Ferrus and Fulgrim had and their brotherhood and all that. So I like that. Change it down to 6 energy, maybe 5. It's pretty interesting.
Yeah, I think for 7 cost it's a little bit underpowered, but mechanics wise, it's very interesting for sure. Yeah,
good flavor.
All right, next is yours, and let me check real quick who's this from. This is from Double Yorick.
Holy shit, 9 lines. Okay. 5 energy, the Lantern, Otarian's Pistol. So, first of all, you've centered the text, don't do that. Also, pistol should be capitalized. Anyway, onto the actual card. It says, when the enemy dies from poison, give next effect. If it was infantry, give poison 1 to all enemies. If it was demon, give maintenance 1 and deal 1 damage to an enemy warlord. If it was Astartes, give poison 2 to a random enemy. If it was Custodes, give sentinel and deal 1 damage to an enemy warlord. Well, it says any, but it should be enemy. If it was structure, stun a random enemy. If it was a vehicle, but
sorry,
ooh, deals 2 damage to a random enemy and adjacent units. So I get where you're going with this. It's interesting having all these different effects that are flavored after the different unit types, but it's a bit much. Let's be real. Also, some of them are very, very powerful. So the demon one, especially, like, holy crap!
Absolutely.
Look at that. That's permanent maintenance. Maintenance doesn't go away, not naturally anyway, unless you specify. Also, Custodes, that's permanent sentinel right there. So it's an interesting idea to give all these, like, fun, flavorful little effects to your poison damage, but it's a lot of text and the balance is way off.
Absolutely. I think the main problem here is balance, and I think all of these effects are a little bit too much, especially, as you said, you already pointed out, the demon one is a bit too much, right?
I think the Custodians one's worse, actually.
Yeah, it's actually worse because it shuts down
Never draw a
Custodians
card
completely.
the entire game. Have fun with that.
Yeah, absolutely nuts. That's just not gonna work that way. All right, moving on. I believe the next one is mine, and this one is actually something that is, I have to say, I was very interested in when I first saw it. This is from Imonil, and Imonil has taken quite a few parts in our tournaments, taken part quite a few times, I mean, and this is the Icon of Chaos. So 3 energy, 1, 2, and this is the first one I believe that is not a tactic, it's a structure. So I can kind of get why it's a structure. It makes sense because you're essentially taking this icon and just plunging it into the ground, but technically it's still an equipment, piece of equipment, I mean. And what it does is it's a 3 energy, and if you play a cultist and this troop has died, put it back in play. So like Cerberus from the Sigillites, essentially. And it has a resolution to give Mark of Chaos to another random family friendly troop. So essentially you play a 3 energy 1, 2, and every time you play basically a cultist, this comes back to life and gives it at the end of the turn, gives it a Mark of Chaos. Pretty interesting. The only thing that kind of bothers me is it gonna be OP or is it not gonna be OP? Design is quite interesting, though, I have to admit. Shad, what do you think?
Yeah, no, I really like this. I mean, balance-wise, it's only a 1/2, so it can be smacked down instantly, basically. So I think this is actually right in the perfect sweet spot when it comes to balance. The only problem I have is it doesn't feel like a legendary. This actually feels like a very normal-ish effect, but that's a minor quibble. It's cultist synergy. I don't usually like cultists, but I can't really complain about this. It does everything right. That's just a personal preference of mine. So yeah, I really like it. It's perfectly formatted as well. It's just everything. Everything's good.
Hey
You
man,
could
don't
argue that,
forget
yeah,
that they're gonna be the cultists are about to become meta, so
they're about to be what? Sorry,
they're
what,
about to
meta or
become meta.
or
Yeah, in
meta?
Legions.
You reckon?
Yeah,
Well,
well, I mean,
why?
not cultists, but chaos in general.
Oh, right, because they're switching Traitor Auxilia over to Chaos. Yeah, well, there's no synergy with these, is there? I don't think. Maybe.
Eh,
Yeah, no, I like this. It also allows for cross tribal synergy because it doesn't specify that it gives the Mark of Chaos to a cultist. So it doesn't make you really hyper focus on cultists, which is good in my opinion, because those decks all end up exactly the same, no matter which warlord or faction you're playing. So yeah, I like it. I
this is
like it a
gonna be a
lot.
must for Corpeiron.
Yeah, well, Corpeiron is definitely a strong contender. Yeah. Well, it does say play a cultist, so actually, okay, here you go. Maybe it's not perfectly worded then. That is a little unclear. So play implies something different than put in play. Play implies that maybe you're playing it from your hand, which might be intentional so that you can't do crazy Corpeiron stuff with it. Yeah.
Fair enough. Pretty interesting card for sure. Next is yours, Shad. It's from Gaskell.
Right. The Song of Entropy, a 5 CMC. Oh, sorry, no, a 5 energy. Sorry, I've been doing a lot of Magic the Gathering lately. 5 energy Salamander's legendary tactic. It's an artifact of Vulcan, and it says Warlord gains give poison 2 with Ordnance 1 to an enemy troop put in play. Ooh, okay. So, also shout out for the OG Salamanders logo that you got there. So that's a very old version of Captured Forge you've got. Oh, but he's got the updated poison in there. What is going on? Well, no, actually, no. I suppose there was a brief time period. You've got a very specific version of Captured Forge there, friend. Yeah, the wording's all weird. So what I think it's trying to do is it's kind of trying to be like the Defenders of Caliban card from our ship contest, where it's supposed to give this effect whenever a troop is put in play. But if it is, that's really toxic, pun intended. That's way too strong. If it's the exact same problem that we had with his card, except this is poison and ordnance, although ordnance is usually a non-factor. So yeah, no, I don't like it. You know what I would like maybe? It's I was going to say maybe if it gave poison to your troops, because poison interacts quite positively with sacrifice, but you'd need to give it a reason to do that. So it'd have to like make them cheaper or buff them or do something else that's strange. But maybe if it was a lot lower. So if it was like Warlord gains give poison 1 to troops put in play. So it's a symmetrical effect that way. Friendlies and enemies, they both suffer it. I don't know, man. It's just a bit. It's a toxic design.
Yeah. In general, it's it's for sure a little bit toxic. I mean, if it was a Death Guard card, it would have been much worse. But
Yes.
I mean, in Salamanders, it's interesting that you have a poison thingy there. It does have flavor though. I mean, Song of Entropy is the staff is supposed to be like withering anybody it targets, like aging them, and kind of I guess the closest we have there, one of the closest
Yeah.
things is poison.
I thought it was a sonic weapon, but I might be wrong about that. I don't remember though. I don't think they've ever actually fully revealed what the artifact was. Yeah.
Yeah,
They might
fair
have.
enough. Fair enough.
I know not all of the artifacts are revealed yet, but yeah, it's pretty cool.
All right, in that case, let's move on because I don't have much to add other than I like the flavor for sure. Next one would be from Zermal. Oh my god. Of course, it's a the Defenders of Caliban card. So we have the 7 energy Sword of Luther, Nightfall. Your Warlord gains +1, and after attacking, deal 1 damage to a random enemy unit. Repeat this effect for each friendly troop in play. Oh. That's okay, so here's the thing. The +1 attack is definitely fine because it costs so much. The effect, however, is very scary. Let me tell you why it's very scary. Like, you drop the Caliban Defenders, which deal 5 damage on their own, and because they have flank. And then you also attack with Luther. You get 3 base damage because you already have +1, and it deals 5 damage on top. So that's a what now? 13 damage right off the bat, right? And if you have orders from Terra, well, you cannot use orders from Terra after Defenders of Caliban, but with orders of Terra, this thing could just obliterate you. I think it could actually be a very, very interesting design if the random damage was dealt to troops instead of units. I think that would be very interesting. What do you think?
I think it would probably be even worse if it did damage to troops, not just Warlord, not everything, because then you're guaranteed to wipe the board. You can't get lucky with it going against it. So this is a difficult one because it's doing exactly what Defenders of Caliban want to do. It is a perfect design for what the faction is right now. The problem is what the faction is right now is no fun to play against. So you've made a very good Defenders of Caliban card according to current EG design. Whoever this is, sorry, I didn't catch the name.
Zermal.
Zermal. It perfectly fits them. But obviously, Defenders of Caliban, what they do is they use their duplicitous troops to just build a massive board and snowball value. And as you can see, it does that. Also, there is the problem of the fact that you can just, slap down Caliban's heart out of nowhere and it does a shit ton of damage. Ultimately, I'd say maybe change it up to 8 energy just so you can't do the sword into Caliban's heart so easily. But yeah, it's a good design. Well, it's a good design. Yeah, it's a good design from the perspective of the faction. I just don't think what the faction is good. But that's not your fault. That is EG's fault. So yeah, it's good.
Yeah, absolutely. He actually made quite a few good cards. We did have him once in the finale. He just came in 4th, basically.
Sorry about that, mate.
he had the ship of Mir Astelan. So it was
that was him, right? He's Defender of Caliban, man. Okay.
All right. Well, let's move on. Next one is from Nope, and it's Drach'nyen.
All right, Drach'nyen interred, the demonic sword. This is a weird one. I like it though.
It's a warlord.
This is a 240 warlord. So it has Drach'nyen Inbound, which is a purple card I'll get to in a second, and it has while you have no troops in play, gain can't attack. 2 energy, gain +1 attack, and murder can act again until your next turn. So, Drach'nyen Unbound is a 16 energy purple card, and it says reduce cost by 1 when your warlord kills a troop during your turn. And if you can manage all that, you get this amazing Reckoning form, which says when a unit dies, gain +1/+1. Any unit, by the way, friendly, enemy, doesn't matter. God of Murder wants to murder everything. And it has Murder. Take control of a random enemy troop with 3 or less health. If they have none, deal 4 damage to the enemy warlord. So, yeah. This is a very interesting design, and I like some of the flavor, but I don't know if it's quite right in some places. So while you have no troops in play, gain counter-attack, that's great, because obviously it can't attack by itself. It's a weapon at the moment. It only breaks free later. But I do question whether it would have been better if it just had permanent counter-attack and its abilities, while it was in its normal form, were just buffing friendly troops. But yeah, overall, it's a bit clunky as the thing, but there's some interesting interplay with the way he's set up the mechanics, because the active ability obviously sets you up for next turn. It buffs you, and then you use the attack on the next turn because you can't attack the same turn. It doesn't have can act again. Oh no, it does have.
There's
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't have. It
There's a
doesn't
little
have can act
problem
again.
there. There's a little problem there because you use this, you gain murder and the attack, and that you gain can't act again when you trigger murder, right? But that's the thing. You're when you use your ability, you're not going to be able to attack again, so you're never triggering murder.
No, you are, because you're setting it up for the next turn. It's a permanent effect until it's used.
Until
That's
your
the
next
point.
until your next attack, you're right.
Yeah, exactly. So when you've set it up, your opponent can play around that by trying to remove your troops and not letting you get the attack off, which is cool because it delays the reckoning.
That's so good.
Yeah, the only problem I have with that is that this gameplay loop that you've set up there is one that just exists by default, because removing your opponent's troops is always the correct play. So it's not really going to change what your opponent's going to want to do most of the time. There are exceptions, of course, but they're going to be few and far between. But it is a cool idea. It's very good flavor.
I also like how you need to have a unit so that somebody can swing it. He also mentioned that.
Yeah, exactly.
You forgot the fourth card that he has, by the way.
Oh, there's a fourth one there? Where's the fourth one? Oh, the meme, right. He did Lorgar Riz as well, did he? Well, it's not labeled, mate. I don't know.
Lorgar's
Riz. Draw a card. I appreciate the 7 energy draw a card. That's, yeah, very strong. To be fair, it's about the same power level as the rest of the word bearers right now, so.
Makes sense. No, I really like the design, man. Design is, like, very good.
I wonder if it should have been Ruinstorm, maybe.
Probably could have been, but considering, like, it's a Demon Blade and everybody can kind of play it.
Yeah, but slight issue there as well is that he wasn't really a blade until after the Heresy.
The Emperor put him there.
Bound him into a blade, threw him at his guard and told him to run off into the warp. We only see the sword again a couple of thousand years later, isn't it? But yeah, it's not a big deal, though. It's a cool card.
All right, let's move on. And we got the next one. Let me check who's this from. This is from ZMK Gaming, and that would be the Ultramarine card. So, Gladius Incandor, Gilliman's Blade. Replace your Warlord ability with 2 energy, trigger a friendly troop's courage. If you control none, give a random friendly troop in hand courage. Your Warlord gains +1. Holy, and that's permanent. Very interesting ability. So essentially you're forfeiting your ability, and what you do get to do is you get to trigger the courage of your troop, and you can also keep throwing your attack in your hand. So essentially, look at this. So there's also a different interaction there. Let's say you use this and it gives the courage to the troop. You play that troop, then trigger this again. Your Warlord already has +2 attack, right? Ooh, that can get that can get out of hand real quick. I mean, I like the design though. which means that he said it himself. Like, it's a strong weapon, but on top of that, it's like a symbol, a rallying banner in the hands of the Avenging Sun. The flavor is, I mean, the whole lore-wise is really, really good. I just think it might get a little bit toxic. What do you think?
It's I don't like it. It feels it's very messy. All of the lines of text that do all these strange things, and worst of all, it's not even good on Gilliman because it's the fact it replaces your active means the Reckoning form is just shit because this ability will persist and continue to overwrite your new really powerful Reckoning ability. So the best wield, in fact, the worst wielder of this weapon is Gilliman, and that's don't like that. Also, like you said, it can stack up a lot because that is permanent Warlord buff there, which you can get. It's not really hard to make sure that you get that. There's never going to be scenarios where you can't get Courage to trigger. The opponent will always have, at one point in the game, have some troops. So you can just stack this ability a lot of times on a Warlord and on a troop in your hand, and eventually you'll drop it and you'll get, like, I don't know, 3 or 4. And then, even worse, if it persists or continues to exist, you can then re-trigger those Courage abilities because they will stay on the card. So it's a very toxic, snowbally design, and it's undercosted for what it does. This feels like it should have just been like 5 energy, your Warlord gets +1 attack, and battle on a trigger a random friendly unit's Courage or something. It's very convoluted, it's not very well balanced, and it's not good flavor because it doesn't work well with Gilliman. Yeah, no, don't like it.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Let us move on. So next one is from Fragile Phoenix, and that would be another Tail Spear. Exactly the same art, by the way.
Oh,
so
hang on, no, you skipped one. Oh wait, no, you haven't.
No,
I skipped one. Ignore me. I got to Stormbolt. Yep, that's next. All right, so is it me next? Saracenata.
yes.
All right, Saracenata, the Pale Spear, a 6 energy Alpha Legion tactic, and it says your Warlord gains Sneak Attack and Savage. Adjacent troops ignore Invulnerable, Precognition, Bastion, or Shield this turn. That's not worded right. That should be and Shield, but right now it's implying that you choose them in some way, or that only one of them at random will be negated. Most of the time, they're not going to have multiple of them, but it's still an uncertainty. I like and don't like it at the same time. So I love the flavor of this Xenos weapon because this is very clearly implied to be a Necron weapon in the lore. It's a phase blade. And in the tabletop, those ignore invulnerable saves, which is shields or force fields or demon stuff. So the fact that it cuts through shields like they're nothing, or precognition or bastion or invulnerable, that's super cool. But it's giving it to adjacent troops, and it just feels very strange for that to be a thing. Why does it bestow that ability to them and not your Warlord? The Sneak Attack also makes sense. It's very flavorful for for Alpha Legion. It's a spear. It gives you great reach. It's a weird alien phase sphere, so your opponent can't try and block it or counter. I would like it. I just don't want the Savage. I want all that to be on the Warlord. Also, Invulnerable, Precog, Bastion, and Shield are all rather niche, so probably shouldn't be 6 energy. Most of the time, you're not even going to run into those. I'd say lower that down to 5, because we've got an existing Sneak Attack Warlord card in the Raven Guard, although it's not it's in Legacy mode now, isn't it? Raven's Talons. That's 4 energy, and that was playable. That was quite good. So if you take that, tack on a bit of extra text, but text that's not often going to be that relevant, and boost it up, I would say that makes it a 5 energy card. So bit underpowered. Wish the design was a little different, but I love the flavor of what you're going for here.
Yeah, I think I do like it. It's pretty interesting for sure. It does sound Alpha Legion-y in a way, and it also gives justice to the Pale Spear lore in the general, so it makes a lot of sense. I think I agree with you. It could be 5 energy and still be really good. It could be like very good against the fists. It would be especially good against the fists. And once again, it does incentivize different type of gameplay with Alpha Legion, where you actually attack with your basic attacks instead of just filling the enemy up with traps. So maybe more unit troop based. So yeah, pretty interesting. For sure, pretty interesting. Move on?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm done.
All right, next one is from Legit Sniper. So this is the guy that usually either does Night Lords or the Assassinorum. And he actually has a pretty interesting thing here. So there's the Stormbolt plate, Artificer armor, now for 7 energy. And I have to say, I do love the art. It's sexy as hell and the right amount of edgy. I love it. And the ability is to your warlord gains 0+5 and murder gains stealth. Now, he did explain the flavor really well in his mail. He basically said that the whole idea is that, first of all, the Stormbolt plate's whole point is that it helps you blend into the darkness, meaning it gives you stealth, makes you stealthy. And it's also supposed to be one of the most durable armors in the Legion, so it makes sense that it gives you a little bit of HP as well. Plus, Night Lords really don't have any healing, I think, anymore, ever since the disagreement has been moved to Legacy. And basically, it turns you into the old Conrad Curse. Well, a discount version, because you still have to attack without sneak attack, and also you have to trigger murder. I guess this would be Gendar's Scrivox weapon, first of all, because he can, really abuse his terror, in which case he also still has to deal damage to himself. Now, I do realize that the old Conrad gameplay was very toxic for a lot of people, but I'm sure there's also a lot of people who miss it. I'll be quite honest, it's good that it's at 7 energy, it's good that it costs a lot. I would even say this thing could even cost more than 7, because it's like a Reckoning, essentially. It's like Curse's Reckoning slapped into a tactic, a little bit weaker, obviously, because no sneak attack. I have to admit, I do like it. What about you, Shad?
Yeah, I think I agree with your assessment. It could maybe be 8 energy, but it's overall, yeah, it's pretty solid. What it does, it does all the things the armor says it does. It protects you. It gives you a little bit of stealthiness. It's honestly weaker than the Reckoning form of Curse, so it's probably not that toxic. They've also lost Mercy and Forgiveness, and the sneak attack cards. So a lot of the tools that make him what he is are not available to new Night Lords and would be less toxic as a result, because there's not a sort of critical mass of these enabler cards. They do have the new 6 energy attack buff terror thing, which might make him a bit strong, but it's honestly quite hard to trigger by comparison. So yeah, it's nice. There aren't really Night Lord control decks, are there? They just kind of do like mid-rangey aggro things at the moment. So yeah, this could actually make a new archetype. Yeah, it's quite good.
Yeah, absolutely. So next one is from Perturabo, and there's one meme as always, but the second one is the actual submission. But let's check out both.
Power wrench? Ferris, is that a wrench?
Oh my god.
4 energy legendary Iron Hands tactic. Your warlord gains -1 attack. It's the first one of those we've seen. And Ordnance 2, stun all other units. Alright, call me crazy. I actually quite like this.
This is actually legit. I'm not even joking.
Yeah, I like that. Well, it's a fun call out as well. Maybe this was like a weird old weapon that Ferris had or something. I don't know. Maybe he lost Forge Breaker and this was his backup. I mean, I know the real reason is just that Black Library was making some weird ass art in the beginning when they didn't know how things really were. I feel like I probably like this more than his real card, which is quite funny. But yeah, no, it's quite cool. I like it, and it's funny. So yeah, the real card, Power Scythe, a rare. That's the first low rarity weapon that we've had. Well, one of the first anyway. Obviously, there's a lot of legendaries in this tournament. Power Scythe, Death Guard, 3 energy tactic. Give cleave 1 and +0/+2 to a friendly Death Guard unit. So normally I dislike giving permanent buffs out to anything other than the warlord, but in this case it's such a relatively small minor effect, and it's a weapon widely carried by the Legion that it's excusable. If anything, it's good. The fact you can give it to a warlord is also fun, but not always applicable. So it's actually quite well balanced, because 2 health on the warlord is worth a lot less than 2 health on an attacking troop is. And then the cleave also combines with poison. So this is actually a really it's deceptively simple. There's a lot of interactions for how simplistic the actual text on the card is. So I do quite like this a lot, actually. There's a slight formatting issue. It's I believe, because they're inconsistent. I always use Magic the Gathering wording when I do the +0, +2 like stat additions, because in Magic the Gathering they put a plus in front of both to avoid these inconsistencies. But I believe in in Horus Heresy, right, you only put the plus in front of the number if it is a positive integer. If it's a 0, you just put nothing. So that should be 0/+2. But that's a minor quibble. It's something I myself don't do the right way according to EG and vice versa. So not really an issue. But yeah, what do you think, Teach?
I also like the fact that you can carry 2 of these. Do you remember
Your wheels.
Forefather? It was 6 energy, give cleave 2, I think, to your warlord.
Yes, yeah, I remember that.
It was, to be honest, it was pretty crap.
It was, yeah. So you don't need, yeah. If something is a weak card, then you don't need to use that as a comparison. You can buff it. It's okay to buff bad cards, guys.
Yeah. And honestly speaking, like, this is a better version because with 2 of these, you do get the Gorefather, but it also gives you a flexibility with the fact that you can buff a troop, you can buff your warlord, you can AoE poison. You also have the Harbinger of Decay to combo with this. Very interesting overall. But as I said, I also really like his other entry, which is supposed to be a meme. That power wrench is actually a thing. I mean, it's very interesting that you are making your attack weaker, but you're also giving your warlord ordnance. So that could be pretty interesting when you're dealing with titans, for example.
Realistically, the stun is the relevant part most of the time, though, isn't it?
Yeah, silent death, basically.
Yeah, honestly, I like the wrench too, although it should probably be like 3 energy, maybe? No, because you can play troops straight after and not get them stunned, so I guess it's a one-sided, like, what's the Titan stun card called? Display of Might, or whatever. Yeah. No, it's the other one, isn't it? Omen of whatever, the Chaos one. But yeah, it's good. They're both good. Even your meme card is quite good. Well done, whoever this is.
Yep, absolutely good. Well, from Noctim Armiger, we have the second Emperor's Children card. I believe it's the second one. And it's Fulgrim, the tank. 7 energy, 1/3 with Sentinel.
You are mistaken. This is not an Emperor's Children tank. That is a Pretty Marines tank. And well done to anyone who is old enough to actually understand that reference.
Yeah, this is actually really, really, really good. I mean, I had a solid laugh on this one. I first actually saw it when he posted in the card ideas section. And I mean, honestly speaking, I
realistically though, meme. I swear, is there a joke I'm not getting? I get it. It's funny. It's like, you know, the pink tank and it's got strawberries and ice cream and all that and butterflies on it. But like, is there a meme beyond like, haha, Fulgrim gay or whatever? Is there something deeper that I'm missing?
And maybe the Fulgrim pattern tank is shit. I don't know, but
well, that's what I'm saying. Is there some deep lore that we're missing here?
There might be, but I think that's what makes it beautiful.
The simplicity is also good. Haha, Fulgrim tank gay. Your brother was better at making vehicles. Deal with it.
Yeah, pretty much. That's the thing, I guess.
Fair enough.
Okay, yeah. You know what? I'll read the next one just because.
Sure.
Just because. So actually, funny enough, we have another Fireblade here, and this one is actually not Emperor's Children, but this is Iron Hands, which also still makes sense because this was the blade forged for Fulgrim by Ferris. So obviously it makes sense that right now, let's say it's in Ferris' hands, and the art also shows that it is in Ferris' hands. So I think it makes a whole lot of sense, right? Now, what it does is it's 5 energy, deal 1 damage to your warlord. It gains +1/0, and Pride, deal 2 damage to random, deal 2 damage, random troops 1/2 damage to the enemy warlord. So deal 2 damage to a random troop and deal 1/2 damage to the enemy warlord. Now, I have to say that it does not specify enemy troops, so it can also deal that 2 damage to a friendly troop. However, at the end of every turn, you are dealing 1 to 2 damage to the enemy warlord, right? So, essentially, you're making your warlord a duelist, pretty much. So you're incentivizing. You're incentivizing, first of all, play without troops, but then you remember that this is the Iron Hands, which means that actually they can benefit from taking damage because of Pride. For example, like if you have this and you drop, let's say, the Leviathan, it could just go face instantly. So I would say it's pretty interesting, you know? What do you say, Shad?
It's all right. There's some cool ideas in here, but they don't all quite come together. Also, the balance is a little off, so and some wording issues. But there's some cool stuff. So formatting, weapon should be capitalized. Dealing 1 damage to your own warlord, that's good. That means that it'll always have pride enabled. I mean, realistically, by the time you're going to be playing this, your pride will be enabled anyway. But it's a nice little touch. Gain +1 attack, so it's a standard weapon warlord buff. Makes sense, it's a strong weapon. The pride ability, that's messy, but deal 2 damage to... What do you think that's supposed to be, Teach? Like, what, deal 2 damage to a random troop? Or 2 damage to 2 random troops? Or what? Yeah.
I think it's supposed to deal 2 damage to a random troop, including allied one.
Well, I actually like that then, because that incentivizes... That's like a return to the Santar playstyle, like you said, making a duelist warlord. Your guys will benefit from it sometimes, but overall, it's better to just not have troops and guarantee that it'll hit the enemy troops. The second part is where it kind of goes too strong, though, because it also has 1 to 2 damage to the enemy warlord as well, and that's every turn, and that's free. And for 5 energy, that's a lot of burn. So this should be a 6 energy card, maybe even 7, considering that's basically a resolution effect. So if anything, this is a +2.5 attack buff on your warlord, and a little extra for clearing the board. So yeah, I think 7 energy is probably fair for this.
I mean, considering how strong Medusan Carapace used to be, yeah.
Yeah. But it's some interesting ideas. It's just a bit messy.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And cool art as well.
Okay, Liscan is next.
All right. Let's see. So we have the kill counter, Khorne's Helmet. 2 energy, legendary World Eaters card. Says your warlord gains, when an enemy dies, gain 1 stack of skulls for the skull throne, and relentless, create, maim, kill, burn in your hand. And main kill burn is a purple card for 2 energy, and it says your warlord gains +1 attack this turn for every 2 stacks of skulls for the skull thrown on him. Then remove stun and can't attack. If you do, or if so, but what it means is if you do, reduce these stacks by 1. Discard self at the end of your turn. So there's some wording issues here, but I get what you're going for. It's clear enough to understand. The only problem. The main problem with it is that's just you're introducing a second resource pool, and that's a very big sort of step to take for 1 single card in a different faction. I mean, like Thousand Sons have Psyker because they use it on half the cards basically, and Knights have Plasma because their whole weapons are structured around it. But it's a cool idea that Skull for the Skull Throne building up and up, and you're claiming more and more heads. It's very good flavor. The kill counter, that is a piece of equipment, it's a very intuitive one as well. I mean, the more you kill, the higher the number goes. Using the purple, that's fine too, I guess. Honestly, I just wonder whether it might have been better as a more simple card, just a one-off buff maybe. So it would be something like your warlord gains +1 attack for each enemy that has died this game until your next attack, or something like that. And so the longer the game goes, the higher the kill counter gets, and it's not while you have it in hand, it's all that have died throughout the entire game. So it doesn't matter when you draw it, it's as high as it'll be.
I would say probably better if it's for your next attack, so that people don't cheese it too much.
And this way you don't need to use the stacks of skulls for the Skull Throne to count the dead. It just gets a bit clunky this way. I get that it can keep on being used over and over like a sort of Paragon Spear, but it's just very clunky implementation to add an alternate energy pool for 1 single card. To be fair, you could build a whole faction around it, a whole mechanic at least. They might do that in Warpforged, who knows? But for 1 card, no, it's not good standalone.
Yeah, I like the idea. I dig the flavor as well. A little bit risky with the second resource for sure. But I think there's a very interesting idea in general hiding here, as you said. This could be a single card, as once again, as you said, it could be really good. I think overall it's a very interesting design. A little bit risky is just the thing, I think. Yeah, not much else to add there. I think you covered it up really well. Covered it, I mean. And let's move to the next one, which is another Night Lord. Today I'm getting all the Night Lords. And this is from Little Grey Dog. This is Vox Demonicus. Your Warlord gains give -1 to the enemy troops damaged in combat. And Resolution, destroy enemy troops with 1 or less attack. Ooh, this is a scary one. So whatever your
Spicy.
Warlord attacks gets -1, and if it has 1 attack, then it just gets destroyed. Ooh, so this on the old Conrad, yikes.
It would be a very strong one on old Conrad, yes, because it's a defensive tool. But there's very few of those. That's actually quite interesting to see.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
most weaponry. Most of the time, obviously, people have built weapons because they're the iconic part. You know, swords are more exciting than shields or plates of armor mostly. But it is nice to see these sometimes. It's perfect flavor as well. It's a Vox Demonicus, so this is this awful, horrifying, nightmarish feedback loop that is screeching out at all times and all that. So it's good flavor. It's terrifying people when they damage. The fact it's not a savage trigger is the most interesting part, because it'll trigger during your enemy's turn when they're attacking you, and vice versa. I like a lot of it. Yeah, it interacts with their negative attack stuff quite well as well. It might cause some timing issues, is the thing, because resolution ordering has always been a bit weird with EG, hasn't it? It's like you don't know which one will go off first, which one will go off second.
Yeah, that's a good question. We don't know if first the attack would come back, and then this would trigger, or vice versa.
Yeah, as long if they were consistent with it, it would be a lot easier. Like always against your favor, or if it's like exclusively always based on which one came into play first, that would be better. But right now it's very random sometimes, isn't it? But yeah, I assuming that the spaghetti code was fixed and all that, I really like this. Yeah.
There's also the fact that it has some very good it also has some very good synergy with some of the newer cards. In the Night Lords, they decrease the attack. So yeah, I think it's pretty interesting, especially if this would go off before the attack returns.
Yes, yeah.
So yeah,
Right.
pretty interesting for sure. Now you get the
one
closing
last
card.
Shadowlan, the Fun Police. A card custom tailored to piss me off. Well done. This is a Night Lords, my favorite faction, as everyone knows. You're actually wrong. I hate Ruinstorm more. but this, we don't ever get Ruinstorm cards, so fair enough. Your Warlord gains Rage for each formatting mistake. Deal 1 damage to all units.
You gotta love how the formatting has the...
Isn't even spelled right, yeah.
I think that's intentional.
Well, my favorite part is the fact that it goes infinite with itself. So literally the first thing that you do upon playing me is I scream in rage and kill everything, usually myself.
This is crazy,
in an endless
man.
loop of screaming anger. Yeah, it's perfect. Also, the Fun Police is not capitalized properly.
You gotta... I think there's like so many layers of meme here. Like it being...
I don't even know how you got my profile picture. You've never put my profile picture up. This is someone who knows me on Discord. How dare you, whoever you... I'm gonna...
Actually, this is very interesting because like even on Discord, your profile picture is like small, right?
It's cropped. Like, how did you find the full image?
This is crazy. Sometimes I really don't get like where did people get this stuff? Like
yeah. So all right, come on then. Lay it on me. Who made this card?
This is way too good, man. This is way too
I'm not
good.
gonna. I won't hurt you. I just want to talk.
This is just something else. But I wouldn't be surprised. Do you remember that card that I showed you, the Power Washer or something?
Oh, yeah.
Where the hell did they even... Wait a minute, I'm actually gonna add that card to the video. Like, can somebody please explain where did they get this face? Like, what? Oh my, you guys are you guys are nuts, man.
Hey, stop dodging the question. Who made it? I want to talk.
I don't know. It's a person sending it from a mail called like 34543.
Anonymously. Oh, you coward!
Obviously, it's anonymous, just like the previous one, the one with me and SpongeBob was anonymous. All of these memes are usually anonymous. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. Oh, fair enough. Fair enough.
Well, anyway, I think it's time we discuss chat.
Yeah. All right. Give me a second. I need to. All right. Who's in contention? Let's see.
Okay.
Do you have anything in mind already?
I have a few that I really like. I think I really like the Icon of Chaos. It's pretty good. I did enjoy that card quite a bit. I also do like, funny enough, I like the Power Scythe, simple and cool.
Yep, I'm with you there. I like Power Scythe as well.
Power Scythe is really nice. There's also, I'm gonna say, I love how toxic the Fulgurite is. Also pretty interesting. It's a very interesting control tool, so certainly up there for me. I'm gonna name quite a few actually. There's also one that I really like. Where is it? Let me find it. Yeah, the Talon of Horus is really good. For sure.
Yeah, I love that one. I think that's in contention. If it didn't have the typo, it would be perfect, and maybe the balance. I don't know, but yeah, I really.
Yeah, the Axe of Khorne is also interesting.
Yes, I like Axe of Khorne.
I have to also say that the Drach'nyen is very interesting. For me, it's like very original. I also do like the Stormbolt plate, that Night Lords one. I usually don't like the Night Lords cards, but this one's really good. I mean, in terms of flavor, Sword of Luther is also really good. I don't think it's first place worthy because it has some serious balancing issues, but flavor-wise and blending into the faction, it's just really good. Yeah, there's some good stuff in here, you know. I also do like the Nightmare Mantle as well. I don't know.
Worth questioning. There is a card in here that we didn't do. Did you skip that intentionally?
Yeah, that one was skipped intentionally because I
did someone else submit something else instead?
No. I by mistake put that in the folder. It's not submitted.
Oh, okay. Fair enough then.
It was
yeah, in that case. You've covered most of the ones that I like. I also like Cyphus V or Cyphus V, but we did have that big qualm about how like it's too strong and it's basically got like half the card shouldn't be there. So yeah,
Which
that's
one is
not
that?
top.
Cyphus V,
the number 7, the Blood Angels.
Oh
one.
Yeah, that's also very interesting. Yeah,
it is flavorful for a Blood Angel to drain health because vampire stuff, but I just don't think it should be able to support itself that well. You should have to like make some sacrifices deck building wise to support it if you want to go all in on it. But yeah, it's a cool card. I do like Axe of Khorne, like you said. Axe of Khorne's great. Talon of Horus, I do really like. It's the minor typo and maybe the draw card bring it down a little, but I do love that card. What else was there? I like Fulgurite, but it's just too weird and like it's got too many questions. It raises too many questions. I don't know what to think of that. Also, 5 energy. I don't like a few of the flavor elements. The fact that you can cycle it back and forth. I know he clarified, but I feel like it actually would have been better if it did just give you the legacy version at the end, so that it was a closed. It didn't loop. It was just 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I'm not sure about that one. Icon of Chaos is interesting. Yeah, it's an example of a troop that still fulfills the criteria of the tournament. So that's quite impressive. What else was there? Power Scythe. I liked Power Scythe.
Vox Demonicus is also interesting.
Yes, Vox Demonicus is pretty cool too.
Yeah, this is a pretty good good submission.
Yeah. All right. So what would you? Sword of Luther as well is decent, but again, it should be 8 energy, and it's just awkward to judge cards like that because it fits into their play style and their faction. But it's still toxic. But that is their play style. So how do you judge it properly? Like if the faction itself is about being badly designed, and they design a card that is badly designed in that way, is it badly designed? It's like a catch-22, isn't it?
I think that's the fun part, that the card is actually really well designed.
Yeah,
It's
it's
just
a
the faction is a
well-designed, badly
problem,
designed
yeah.
card.
Yeah, it's just faction itself that is a problem.
Yeah, it's difficult.
Actually, let's start from number 1 place.
All right, yeah. So, who do you think's number one? What is in contention? What's the top tier?
I would say 1 is Talon of Horus.
I think I agree with that. I like that there, but there might be some others that might be competitive.
Yes. I'm still gonna push Power Scythe.
I like Power Scythe a lot too. Yeah.
Very good design. And I want to have something as the third one as well. So, but I'm thinking which one deserves the third to be the third.
Yeah, there's a lot of good choices, aren't there, for third?
Yeah. I mean, I'm not. There's Icon of Chaos. There's like, for number 1, I would just say that for number 1, for me, it's either Power Scythe or Talon of Horus, because they're quite simple and they're quite direct.
I think I agree with you. Yeah, which one goes where, 1 or 2?
I would still say I'm just gonna put it out there. I think Power Scythe has one edge over the Horus, right? The thing is that, like, but this is like my personal thing. Just Talon of Horus is more of a combo piece, while this is in general a pretty good card. And I think there are cases where Talon of Horus might just be dead, because as I said, when you don't have units, this card is just not do nothing, right? Just droids you a card. So
that's what I like about it, though. Talon of Horus plays so well into the new like Marks of Chaos play style. The scythe has great flavor to it, but it really doesn't actually interact especially well with a lot of what the faction actually does.
That's true.
The only positive interaction it has is with poison, when you slap it on a poisonous troop. But realistically, most decks don't play the poisonous troops, which is sad, but it is true. I like them both. I mean, the scythe is also better formatted, which helps. But the Talon of Horus is I think a better design slightly.
It is. Objectively, it is a better design.
They're both good. They're both very good. It is difficult.
Is there another contender for number 1?
I really don't think so. No, there's some great cards in here, but it's between those two.
Yeah, I think so as well. I think I am also gonna go with Talon of Horus.
Yeah,
I think so, because as you said, there's like one very good point. It's just, even though the card is dead, sometimes maybe that's the whole idea. That it
interactive.
It's very interactive for sure. It does help the enemy shut you down if they play properly. So I do think Talon of Horus does get number 1.
Does that mean we're putting Power Scythe in 2 guaranteed as well?
We'll discuss that in a second.
We'll keep on debating that then. Sure. You never picked a third spot potential. Do you have any in mind yet?
There's quite a few, so I'd rather be careful on that. Yeah.
Fair enough. Oh well, none of these are concrete yet. We're still discussing. I know what I'd put in number 3.
What would you put in number 3?
I think it would have to be Axe of Khorne, personally. I think that's a really solid design.
Axe of Khorne is quite scary, yeah. That is pretty good. And I also gotta admit, I really do like the Stormbolt plate. That's another one I really like.
I don't know, man. Like you said, it's balanced, but it is still gonna be a bit of a toxic card. It's just, I don't know how I feel about that one.
Yeah, well, let's first agree on the first one. I think we do agree that the first one is going to be the Talon of Horus.
Yes, I'm with you there. I'll give Talon first.
So congratulations to Warmaster Abaddon. I believe Warmaster Abaddon is his in-game name. So he does deserve number 1. So Warmaster Abaddon, congratulations on the first place.
Just work on your formatting, man. Honestly, we're both in the card creation. Ping me whenever you want to run a few things through an English translator or something. They're great. They're great designs.
So how about now we discuss the Power Scythe versus the Axe of Khorne?
Right. You really think? Because I like Axe, but I think Power Scythe is a very clever design for how simplistic it is. So I don't really think that's, I don't think that's much of a debate, honestly.
Yeah,
You could make
perhaps
a
you
debate
can.
for other. You could make a debate for other cards fighting Axe of Khorne for third place, but I really don't think Axe of Khorne has a shot against Power Side for second.
Yeah, you do have a point there.
Hmm.
Yeah, Power Side was the number one contender as well. So I think if we put Power Side in the second one, I think it would make a lot of sense.
So the question is, what goes in third then? Are we content with Axe of Khorne, or do you want to debate any of the others? Because
I think we do.
what other ones? Yeah, you reckon none of the other ones
There-
really?
No. I have a couple of ones that.
Oh,
I think
you do.
should be
You
good.
want to debate? Yes, I have a couple.
So
too,
do we put like Power Sight on the second? I think we do put Power
I
Sight on
do.
the second.
I think so. Yeah, it's a good card. It's a great
So
card.
let me double check.
One thing I didn't mention for third, though, I actually do really like Nightmare Mantle as well. I know,
That's
right?
also
Me liking
really good.
yeah, me liking a Night Lord's card. What's happening?
That's a weird one, yeah.
Yeah. So Axe versus Nightmare Mantle.
Nightmare
Any others
Let
that
me
you
check
think
which
might be
one is the
good?
Nightmare Mantle. Yeah, the Nightmare Resolution -1/2 enemy troops. I feel like if there's Nightmare Mantle, there could also be Vox Demonicus.
Maybe, yeah. I mean, they do very similar things, but I kind of like the simplicity of Nightmare Mantle as well. Because Vox Demonicus is kind of falling into the same trap a little bit, not as much as the Blood Angels one, the Cyphus V, wherein it's doing too much at once. So rather than it having one cool, powerful effect of reducing attack, and then you put other cards in your deck to support and capitalize on that, it is in itself supporting and capitalizing on that by destroying them with its resolution effect as well. It's not as bad as the Cyphus one, of course, because it's a very heavily restricted, resolution trigger, but it's a cool card that I would prefer didn't have the resolution effect, perhaps.
Yeah, I do think so.
Sometimes simplicity is a good thing.
Yeah, but there's still Stormbolt Polterplate that I like still.
Yes, that's true. That too.
Drach'nyen is also good. Sword of Luther is also very flavorful. But the one thing that I really like about Axe of Khorne that kind of does edge for me a little bit, and I'll tell you my reasoning.
Yeah.
It's that not only is it like very well balanced, like it takes as you said, like it takes an in-game mechanic that already exists and makes it balanced. And on top of that, it's a Ruinstorm card when Ruinstorm are very linear in general. And this gives Kabanda, whose weapon this actually is, it gives Kabanda another way to actually play for his reckoning, which he never does because it's not worth it ever to do that with Kabanda, right?
While still being good in other warlords as well, because it's just a good board wipe sometimes. I mean, you're sacrificing health, but you are getting a board wipe out of it. It's good in other warlords because Korvax will heal the damage off, so he can leverage it easier. And it's good in Kyrus because Battle Honor. I mean, Kyrus is terrible, but in a hypothetical universe where Kyrus is balanced stronger and still has a Battle Honor effect, Axe of Khorne lets you trigger it multiple times a turn, if you're lucky.
On top of that, it also has a very good hidden balance thing, which you kind of mentioned. The fact that Kabanda has Berserk, right? So
yeah.
So you're kind of forced
buyer
to
beware
attack
when you're using that. Yeah, buyer beware.
Because essentially, like, let's say you got a couple of units on the board, and if I also drop a very high attack unit on the board, you're forced to attack it.
Well, no, you've got to remember it's only a one-shot use, so you can just choose not to play the card. It's not like it lasts for the rest of the game.
No, what I mean is technically, if I have a board, I can technically stop you from clearing. Yeah.
Right, makes sense. Yeah.
It's a pretty good card. It's a good design.
Yeah, it is pretty sweet. I had a point. What was it? I've forgotten it. Oh, yeah. This is probably going to make... If they put it in the game, it would probably brick EG's spaghetti code as well, because if I remember correctly, the game does not like end-of-turn berserk triggers. So, yeah, if you played it with Kabanda and you forced him to wait till the end of the turn to do his attack, and then that forced attack then triggered another force attack, I think that might crash things. That might break something.
Oh, once again, EG's fault.
Well, mobile game, what you going to do?
Yeah. Actually, yeah, this is very impressive.
Okay, yeah, I like Axe of Khorne. So you reckon Axe of Khorne edges it out over Nightmare Stormbolt?
I think it does.
Yeah, okay, I'm fine with that then. So we'll put Axe of Khorne in third then.
But I do have to say Stormbolt and the Nightmare Mantle for me are very close. Together with Sword of Luther.
There's a lot of good potential third spots. Sword of Luther, Fulgurite. They could both have been third place as well. Yeah, even Power Wrench. And Vox Demonicus,
there's
of course.
too many good ones. There's too many good ones.
Yeah, it's good quality again. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty damn good. Pretty damn good.
A lot of good stuff. Even Cyphus V, I really like the design. I wish it wasn't. It's just, you had a great design and then it needs the other half cut off and it would be perfect. I do love that card. Yeah. But yeah, it's good stuff. Really good stuff. Love this.
Yeah, absolutely. And guys, thank you once again so much for participating. We're gonna have the rules of the next tournament out very soon. Maybe it's already out as you're watching this video. So make sure you participate in the next one as well. So thank you very much, and Teacher and Shad out.